Godmorgen, Janne.
Morning.
Styrmanden er kommet.
Okay.
For der ligger one flight dispatch der. Det lå der, når vi kommer. Godmorgen. Her er Janne.
Hej.
Ska med och flyga idag.
Okej.
Filma dig.
Ja, vad trevligt. Skulle det vara något vackrare då, men okej då.
Du är
Välkommen.
specially selected.
Okej.
Så han kommer sitta ute i cockpit och tillsammans med oss på flygningen. Ja. Nå, det är därför vi är här.
Ja, vi har ju det. Men det har inte varit så bra kvalitet på det, så är det med lunch eller? Ingen som har stoppar kom från flygning eller så vi ska tänka på.
So where are you checking now?
I'm checking the significant weather chart. Valid 6, valid 12. Vi flyver højt over de der frontzoner der.
Ja, det skal nok gå fint.
Ja, det skal nok gå fint. Flight level 300, flight level 340. Det bliver blyvbjørn.
Vad kändes som det var bättre också så här?
Minus.
3-4, så step 3-6.
Minus hvad?
Minus 15.
Minus 15 knop. Ja, det passer godt. This is weather and NOTAM briefing. Today it's very easy. The weather's very nice. One segment in Marseille FIR. About thunderstorms. Ibiza is our alternate airport. Also very nice. NOTAM. This is a lot of reading. The poppy slope on runway 03 is not in harmony with the island flight path.
Når løber du ud, tror jeg?
Vi gør den 20.11.
Semesterlistorna, glömmer inte lämna in sig. Ni får semester när ni vill ha. Det är lite konstigt när man precis har avslutat sin sommar eller inte börjat.
The mailbox out there. This is what we are supposed to get. Flight plans, META and TAF, significant weather charts, wind charts, NOTAMs, catering pre-packed information. And if you have any cargo, but we probably don't have any cargo. Gothenburg to Palma, Yankee 1 routing. Aircraft and the weights, the flight plan is, the fuel calculations are based on weights and winds. So the weights, we're checking that those match as close as possible to the actual weights of the aircraft. And the winds, I check the upper wind charge and see if the wind corresponds to what's on the wind charge. And there's our block fuel. And fuel calculations are here. This is trip fuel from Gothenburg to Palma. Contingency fuel, alternate fuel, and holding fuel or final reserve fuels. And a minimum required fuel, which is it's also computer calculated, so they round it up to 10.4 tons. So this is our minimum uplift block fuel. Har vi sådan her igen også? the check-in papers.
Rasmus fra MyTravel.
When we check in, we have a system called a chow. It's crew check-in something, and it's my little plan here. What I'm supposed to do, the crew, and some information about handling agents, fuel companies, and stuff like that. And if the company has any messages to me, it'll be on here. Which hotel I'm supposed to stay on tonight, and other messages from the company or the chief pilot. See if the chief pilot has anything to say. Yeah, there's some information from our technical pilot and from the flight ops manager.
Ja, snart.
Har I haft noget nu? Nej, det blir en hårda.
Då gör vi väl det.
Ja, men alltså...
Det er næsten tanken.
Ja, det var pre-fuel til 10 tons. Det var jeg.
Follow the 436 my contact. The twin and control.
Are you security check?
Ja. Det er på
That's the first thing we do is look for bombs.
Alright.
Jag tror de kabinen. Jag svarar ja.
Ja, vi ska också göra det. Vi ska också göra det. So the first thing we're supposed to do is look everywhere and see if there's something there that's not supposed to be there.
Runway 21.
We take a look at the technical log.
50. Electrical wind 110 knots. Cab okay. Temperature 15. Dew point 12. Fuel X 1016. Exit of cut. Southwestern exit
First we look at the briefing chart, briefing card, and see if there's anything special noted on the briefing card. Then we take a look at the acceptable deferred defects, what we call it. In the old days we called it a whole item list. It's got a new name now. And see if there's any open remarks. There is no open remarks on this aircraft at all. And I took a look at the previous flights and see if the pilots there has any complaints. This aircraft, very good shape. Today Rasmus will be flying the first leg from here to Palma, and then we share the work. So I do the work, I do the load sheet, and he does all the cockpit setup, the loading of the FMS with the flight plan and stuff like that.
This is the flight plan we have filed, ATC flight plan from Gothenburg, and the routing all the way down to Palma. Here says the departure time, the registration.
Did we have any slot?
No slot. No slot time.
Starting one. Brakes set. Tak for det, Lasse. Ha en trevlig dag. Det samme, vi høres. Hej, hej. Hej.
Have a nice day, sir. For an Yankee whiskey. Let's do over.
After start checklist.
I'll start checklist. Ground crew.
Clear.
Engine speed nose everything.
On.
NTIs.
Off.
ECAM status.
Normal.
APU.
Off.
Bit trim.
0.8 downset.
Rudder trim.
0.
After start checklist completed.
Yes, sir. Skal vi se, det er 1219, hva'?
21.9.
789, startup is approved and clearance to Arlanda, Laban 2, Charlie departure, squawk 5712. Clear to start and clear to Arlanda, Laban 2, Charlie 5712, starting 789. Correct.
Viking 231, request taxi.
Viking 231, taxi via Juliet and Zulu, holding point runway 21.
Juliet Zulu, holding point 21, Viking 231. Clear left.
Juliet Zulu, runway 21 as briefed, clear right. So right and right again. Check.
Right. Neutral. To left. To right. Neutral. Check up, check.
221, contact tower, 118, Cosmosis.
186, Viking. Check. Flight controls.
Check right.
Check left. Flight estimation.
Check right. No flags.
Check left. Briefing.
Confirm.
Flap setting.
2 set.
152. V1 VRE2 flex tip.
153. 155. 159. Flags 60.
53 155 159 flex 60. Re-rate.
Take off.
Radar PWS.
On and off and auto.
Cabin.
Secure check off.
Cam memo.
Check off. No good.
For takeoff check complete to line.
Fully ready.
Talk morning Viking at 231 fully ready.
Viking 231, good morning, line up, runway 21.
Line up to 1 Viking at 231.
Get line up way 121.
Transponder on her, va?
Ja.
Ja. Ja. Captain Go, check seats for departure, please. What do you see? TCAS sign.
Viking 231, wind is 120, Ason, secure takeoff to 1.
Stroke takeoff 21 Viking 231. Strobe lights.
Auto.
Cabin crew.
Advised.
Engine mode selector.
Normal.
Backs.
Off. All lights on. Clear to take off.
For takeoff check is complete.
Er du klar med en rolling?
Yes.
Palma, can I speak with you? Can we take it to morgon in sequence line up, runway 1. Sequence line up, covering 360.
All compass checked. Take off.
My thrust leaders.
Entering 60 SS runway.
Check. Thrust set.
Check.
$100 knots.
Check.
D1. Rotate. Faster climb.
Yeah. Now green.
Yeah. Morning Gothenburg Viking 231.
Good morning, Viking 231, near the boy radar contact, climb flight level 150.
Climb 150 Viking 231.
15,000 blue.
Check.
First climb, flags on.
Morgon scanning 302, Göteborg radar contact, climb flight level 70.
Flap 0.
D-check, flap 0.
Thanks for running. Your standard 5-4 now, 150 blue.
Standard 5-4 course checked.
Or after takeoff climb checklist.
Känner sig
Takeoff,
rätt vid,
climb, landing
flight
gear.
level 80.
Flaps.
Level 80, känner 783.
Fair reference.
Standard set.
Standard set. After takeoff climb check is complete.
Nice day.
Viking 231, climb flight level 240.
Climb flight level 240 Viking 231.
240 blue. Autopilot 2, it's lights off.
Check, check. No load, no load. Estimate time for arrival.
5 minutes early.
Ja, du skal ind på blokken der.
Scanwing 302, plan level 150.
150, Scanwing 302.
China 783, descent level 60.
Descent level 60, China 783.
Copenhagen, good morning, Viking 231.
Viking 231, come on, you identified. Initially stop climb flight level 350, proceed direct to Warburg.
Stop climb 350, proceed direct to Hamburg, Viking 231.
350 blue. Before we enter RVSM airspace, we enter RVSM airspace in flight level 295. We compare altimeters. We compare this altimeter with the other altimeter and the standby altimeter to see if there's any errors in the altimeters. And then we check the transponder system number 2 correspond to the autopilot number 2. And then if everything's fine, we enter RVSM airspace. And we make a check mark on the flight plan that everything is fine for RVSM airspace flying. Yep.
Hjärtligt välkomna här ombord på MyTravel Airways och flygningen är till Mallorca. Just nu där flyger vi hen över Fyn i Danmark. Vi korsar nu över Kattegatt och hade läs ute på höger sida och vi stiger fortfarande, kommer hamna uppe i 35 000 fot. Och då går den över den södra del Danmark och in i norra Tyskland var vi passerar över Hamburg och vidare mot Hannover, Frankfurt. Och passerar Karlsruhe på vägen in i Schweiz och vi har Zürich ute på vänster sida. Svänger vi till höger, sätter kurs mot Genève och där dyker Alperna upp ute på vänster sida. In över Genève-sjön och vänster sväng ner över Grenoble och passerar Lyon på vägen ner mot Marseille, södra delen av Frankrike. Utöver Medelhavet, Barcelona inne på höger sida och ner mot Mallorca. Kommer in över den östliga delen in över Alcudia och korsar ön över mot flygplatsen som ligger i den sydvästliga delen av ön. Vi förmodar att vi kommer att landa rakt in, alltså på bana 24, alltså mot sydväst. Vi ska flyga i 2 timmar och 55 minuter och det betyder att vi landar ganska så nära av tidstabellen. Vi landar när klockan är 10. Nere på flygplatsen om det är bra flöde på trafiken till Palma. Som sagt så stiger vi upp till 35 000 fot, 10 650 meter och där flyger en sån här Airbus med ungefär 850 km i timmen. Idag har vi lite motvind så markfarten kommer att ligga på en 820-30 stycken. Temperaturen utanför kabinen sjunker och just nu är den minus 47. Här inne i kabinen har vi inställt 22 och jag tycker att det är lagom. Annars får ni säga till kabinpersonal ställer vi upp temperaturen utanför cockpit. Väderprognosen för Palma är bra. Här till morgon var det 22 grader och jag förväntar att det kommer upp strax under 30 grader lätt molnigt här under dagen. Som sagt så är det flygplan, en Airbus A320 har plats 177 passagerare och lyfter av marken med största startvikt 77 ton. Drygt 300 km i timmen är farten när vi startar eller lyfter planet av marken och landar med 250 km i timmen. Innan start har vi programmerat datorerna här i planet och med färdväg och höjda kurser och sådana saker. Och kort tid efter start så inkopplar vi autopiloten och då är det automatiken som styr oss ner till Mallorca. Och min kollega här framme vi sitter och kollar att allting går som vi gärna vill ha det till att göra. Jag hoppas ni må trivas ombord för en trevlig resa.
One to go, approaching 35. Man kan start. 136, 465.
Hello, the rest master channel.
Morning Maastricht, Viking 231, flight level 350.
Viking 231, good morning, identified. Back to Whiskey, Romeo Bravo.
Back to Whiskey, Romeo Bravo, Viking 231.
Bravo on time.
For a few minutes.
76 or less, Viking 231.
Parking brake on.
Quebec, contact Ryan 13208. 13208, there was Austrian from Quebec.
So, please tell us how you got started in this business.
I started out as an aircraft mechanic. I trained as an aircraft mechanic in Scandinavian Airlines in Copenhagen, and that got me interested in the flying business. Actually, I'm actually a mechanic with a pilot's license. So I paid my education out of my own pocket. I went to United States and joined a small private flight school where I was trained. The training was no good actually, but there was a lot of flying, and it was fast track through to get your pilot's license, your commercial license, and your instrument rating and your multi-engine rating and stuff like that. And also I got a flight instructor education, and I started out as a flight instructor, teaching people how to do turns and stalls and landings and stuff like that. After about a year of flight instruction, I got a job. Like Albin, no speed restriction, Viking 231. I got a job towing gliders and towing banners, and I towed gliders and banners, and this didn't get me any instrument flying time. It was all VMC flying, and to get going in the business, you needed multi-engine instrument time. So I paid for a citation type rating on a Cessna Citation, and I actually got a job for a few weeks flying for a small company just south of Los Angeles, which was very funny. It was very nice. But got laid off there. Went back to Boston, where I got my primal education, and got a job flying as a co-pilot in a Piper Navajo. I actually paid $9 an hour to ride along in the Navajo and lifting cargo in and out of the Navajo and doing all the paperwork while the other guy was doing the flying. But the other guy soon got another job, and I got his job, and I flew multi-engine piston airplanes for a short while, and then this company was no good actually. 124 decimal 035, Viking 231.
Good morning, Viking 733, 535 inbound copy. Viking 733, good morning, identified.
Hansen, good morning, Viking 231, fly level 350.
Viking 231, I have identified.
Never got paid. They didn't fix the aircraft. Nothing worked. So I quit this job and went back to Denmark. And I kept flying piston-powered taxi flying with Navajos and Aztecs and Twin Comanche and stuff like that. And I did that for 5 years in general aviation, and several type ratings went by flying small turboprop aircrafts, Turbo Commander, small Beechcrafts, short Skyvan,
And after I had about 2,500 hours, and I got hired by Conair, which was Spice's charter company flying for Spice travel agency. And I started out as a co-pilot in the Airbus 320. And the Airbus 320 was brand new to the market at that time. That was in 1991. And it was a giant leap, actually, going from small piston planes to the Airbus 320. And I got my type rating on the 320 at Aeroformation in Toulouse in 1991. This was approximately the same time as the Gulf War, so I didn't have this job for very long. I got laid off. The travel industry went downhill, and I got laid off after about 1.5 years of Airbus 320 flying. And I was very fortunate to be part owner of a small airline, so I was able to just go back and work for this airline. It's a company called Danish Air Transport, and I drove home from Conair one day, and I drove down to Danish Air Transport the next day, and I was very fortunate to have a job. I didn't have to go abroad to get a job, but it was back in the Skyvan and back in the turboprop flying business for about 9 months, and then the airline hired again. The Conair merged with Scanair, which was SAS's charter company, and out of that came Premier. And then things really start to pick up, because most of the pilots from Scanair, they were SAS pilots, and they flew the DC-10, which was in Scanair. And most of them, they went back to SAS, and leaving a lot of open space for Conair pilots. And this really make a vacuum in the company, so I advanced to captain very fast, and I became a captain in 1995 in the Airbus 320, and I flew the 320 as a captain for about a year, and then it was on to captain in DC-10, which was an enormous experience. Suddenly I was in a heavy aircraft, a three-person operated aircraft with a flight engineer, and flying long haul, flying to Barbados, Far East, and everywhere. And it was very exciting. But after about a couple of years in the DC-10, the company restructured. They had a long-haul DC-10, which they got rid of, and there was too many DC-10 pilots. And I was transferred to the Airbus 300, which was also a aircraft with a flight engineer, a conventional aircraft with electromechanical systems and the old style before the fly-by-wire and the flight management system. And it was actually it was very enjoyable as a pilot to fly a conventional aircraft with a flight engineer. It was a lot of challenge for a pilot, and flew this for a couple of years, and they got rid of the A300, and it was back into the A320, and here I am, still sitting in the A320, and well, the A320 is nice. It's slow and it's noisy, but it does good autolands. And it's very easy to fly. That's about it. Maybe I'm going to retire in the 320 as well. I don't know. There's still more than 20 years until retirement, so hopefully I'll be flying something else. Yeah, this is the way from the way through aviation.
You told me about the drilling of banners. What type of that?
Banner Towing, little small towing company I worked for, they had a what you call a Cessna L19, which is called a bird dog, and it's a tail dragger Cessna with a fixed bridge propeller, and it was with a stick, and it was actually very nice to fly. And when you flew that for some time, they led you into the Boeing Stearman. They had a Boeing Stearman with a radial engine and a double-decker aircraft, double-wing aircraft, and I towed banner with that. It's actually really nice, open cockpit, stuff like that. It was, when I think about it today, it was a little romantic, flying the Boeing Stearman, but it didn't last for long because one day the police came and handcuffed the owner of the company, and on his way with handcuffs into the police car, he said to me, "You're on your own now, Troels." Okay. And I didn't get paid. So you can't live without making money. So I have to leave the banner towing business and find something else.
You also told me about some Africa flying. Was it the Skyvan?
Yeah, that was the Skyvan. The company I started with another guy. We got the contracts for the Paris-Dakar Rally, and which, as you know, goes from Paris to Dakar, and we did support flying for the rally, the race, and unfortunately, the owner of the company and the CEO of the company was also a pilot, and one day he was on a rescue mission in Mauritania, and there was a motorcycle driver. He was had an accident in the desert, and he flew the Skyvan and landed in the desert. Unfortunately, the surface was soft, and he converted the Skyvan into a plow, and he and the nose gear plowed into the sand bed, and the aircraft was stuck there. So the company flew a bunch of mechanics, technicians down to the aircraft and fixed the aircraft in the desert. We built up a tent around the aircraft, and we had a gasoline-powered compressor, and we drilled and did all the sheet metal work in the desert. And then we had some metal plates driven out to the place, and we laid down the metal plates on the sand, and the aircraft took off on the metal plates and flew into Nuadhibu, from the desert into Nuadhibu. And we salvaged the aircraft, and the aircraft went back to Scandinavia, where we spent about at least a half a year to get all the sand out of the aircraft. The company, Danish Air Transport, they don't have the aircraft anymore. I don't know where it is. It's probably back in Africa, but I don't know where it is. That was a special experience.
Okay, Troels. Lunik to Mike on page 3, 29 September 06. Arrival 06 left. Lunik inbound Cap de Pere, and from Cap de Pere a right turn inbound Mike Juliet Victor. Speed limit point at Marnak. Then see 250. Our speed constraints are 250 with crossing speed limit point as briefed. Reduce 210 up and receiving radar vectors to find intercept localizer. Maintain until 12 miles from threshold. Vi har Lunik, Cap de Peter, Manak, og så then we expect the radar vectors to inbound. Right now, initially Cap de Peter, Mike Juliet Victor, and later on we can put Palma VOR on number 1 as well.
Check.
Sector safe is expect to be visual today, but out of Joa VOR, 7,000 feet north of the field, 3,000 to the south, and 5,500 to the northeast as well. Post plate 1, 31 of October 06, ILS 06 left, inbound 059. Radar vectors from 1900 feet. 5 miles, 1700 down the glide. And minima for the ILS, 3%, 230 feet. Or 230. Missed approach procedure is climb radial 059 for Joa, maintain 2000 to 15 miles from Joa, continue radial 059 Joa to intercept 280. Cap de Peer to Cap de Peer, climb 3000, join the hold. 2000, Cap de Peer 3000, join the hold.
Descent flight level 200, Viking 231.
Vertical speed 200 blue. Ellers har vi runway is 3,200 meters, 45 meters wide, PARB 3 degrees. NOTAMs is checked. Og runway 06 left, config full, idle reverse, manual brakes. Og vi expect to vacate via November 2. Ja, vi kan også tage full reverse. Jo, det kan vi godt. Og fuel, der har vi another extra 1.3 ton. Okay. Any questions?
Negative.
Parking stand to go.
Yeah.
En högersvängen och landar på ost istället. Kommer alltså här under slutinflygningen och här Palma ner på vänstra sida. Vädret är lätt molnigt, svaga vindar och en temperatur just nu på 25, så det ser ganska så fint ut. Jag ska be mig nu och fasta sätebältena och så önskar jag en riktigt trevlig semester. Ha det så bra. Hej då!
Yeah, and the 1317, then that's right.
1317 MyTravel.
So Palma Viking 231.
Inicialmente al borde de Barcelona, le llamas.
Yes, good morning, sir. We're on the ground at 0800.
Copy, your phone number will be 96, no restriction, but I know. Your phone number 96.
96 here.
Vacate via November 2, taxi this way to park over here, 96.
Barcelona, buenos días, Traffic 1821. Traffic 1821, buenos días, identificado 390, proceda a Gatos.
109 Viking 231. Palma, buenos días Viking 231, descending 200.
Viking 231, buenos días, flight to Manac, descent level 170.
Out of Manac, descent 170 Viking 231.
170 blue,
Right now I have my navigation display in plan mode, so I can see the final approach here. Normally we fly it in arc mode like this. And switching back to arc mode, you see right now we're in managed descent mode, descent right there. And you see the bracket on the airspeed indicator is the flight management system can vary the airspeed within the bracket to remain on an economical descent profile. And when we are on the profile, this little dot right there will be centered up here. So right now we are just a little bit above the descent profile. So you'll see the aircraft is increasing the descent speed to catch up to the descent profile. And if you're looking at the navigation display, you will see right now we are cleared to flight level 170. You can see flight level 170 is a cleared level. And this is where the aircraft will level off at flight level 170. And immediately thereafter you see a little further descent arrow. That means to stay on the profile you have to keep descending. See this little, looks like a little lightning. It indicates a point of profile interception. So right there we will be on the profile. Right now I have a constraint selected on my navigation display. This means that I will see altitude and speed constraints. And since Mallorca is our speed limit point, you will see the speed limit of 250 knots right there. Further on there will be some altitude constraints in our approach back there. So right now the aircraft is descending at the maximum speed. So if I push the performance button on the MCDU, I will enter the descent page, and I can see the managed descent speed is 300 knots, which is actually the speed target is the two red lines right there. So the FMS can vary the speed within the bracket to stay on the profile. If I push the progress page, I can see right now I'm actually 10 feet below the profile. This means that I'm on the profile for an economic descent profile. Navigation accuracy is high. We do a accuracy check of the moving map before we descend or before we commence the approach. So I compare like Charlie Delta Papa. I insert that there and compare the FMS position or the FMS values to the raw data. And you see here that the FMS shows 28.2 miles to Charlie Delta Papa. And the DME indicates 28. The bearing is 173. And I have to change that a little bit here to see my bearing there, 170. Right now it's 170. So the accuracy of the moving map display is correct, or is in high accuracy. So we can rely on the navigation display during our approach. The TCAS selector in below. That means we're interested in traffic below us. So we selected the TCAS to below. So you'll see all a lot of the traffic that is below us. You will see during the descent. Also, we can push this button so we get terrain data. Check terrain data on the navigation display.
Viking 231, descent level 130.
Descent level 130, Viking 231. 130,
Yep. Now we cleared to flight level 130, and you see the descent arrow, they moved a little bit, and now we're back on the profile. If you look at the navigation display, you see a little dot there. This is This is where we will start speed reduction from 300 knots down to 250. We actually have to pass over this point flying 250 knots. So at this position, the aircraft will start its speed reduction. Now we're in the approach phase, and we are decelerating from 250 knots until green dot speed. Check.
Viking 231, right heading 030, final vector clear for ILS 06 left.
Right heading 030, cleared for ILS runway 06 left, Viking 231.
030.
6711, left on heading 160, altitude 3000 feet.
Speed check, lap 1. We got a right turn towards the localizer. We pushed the approach push button, and the glide slope and the localizer arm, which are in blue here, you engage the second autopilot, and both autopilots now engaged, and the landing capability is Cat 3 dual. Now it captured the localizer. We selected the flaps 1, and the speed is decelerating from green dot till S speed, slash speed. The vector was a little tight, so we went through the localizer a little bit. So now the aircraft will turn towards the localizer. A bit offset from the localizer. Now it's intercepting from the other side, so soon it will turn left and track the localizer.
Viking 231, tower 1183, bye.
Tower 183, Viking 231.
That's right.
Runway 06 right, German Air Force.
Localizer is becoming centered, and the glide slope is alive.
Left 2.
Speed check, flaps 2. Tower Viking 231.
Viking 231, muy buenas. Nos continue, depressing about to vacate, I will call you.
Continue Viking 231.
Continue. 79,
Glide slope is now captured in pitch mode.
What's the 119, goodbye.
See, the glide slope is now centered.
Tower, yes, I believe 93 Golf, Hotel 8.
Correction, Viking 231, clear to land 06 left, wind 08011 knots.
Gear down.
Speed check.
Clear to land.
Gear down. Sound it. Clear to land Viking 231.
Viking 231, clear to land 06 left, wind 09011.
Clear to land Viking 231. Skal også have det 2 gange.
India 5178, radar 1180.
Flaps 3.
1180, ciao, India 5178.
Speed is now decelerating to F speed.
Left full landing checklist.
Speed check. Flap full. Landing checklist.
400 off.
1000 feet, fully stabilized. Pull up now. Cabin crew.
Secure and advised.
Cabin crew, take your seats for landing, please. Auto thrust.
Speed mode.
Go around altitude.
6711 is double localizer, runway 06 left.
This is 6711, continue number 2406 left, wind 0011.
Clear
Clear
to
to
land.
land. Clear to
Clear
land.
approach 06 left, easy, 6711.
And green.
Lidt fugle her omkring.
287 Alpha, main instructions, runway heading 3000 meters, 3000 feet, image 1012 and hold position.
Okay, takeoff instructions are runway heading 3,000 feet, hold position, German Air Force 287 Alpha.
That's correct, sir, that is correct. I will call you when clear.
40. 27.5. 20. Retard. Retard. Retard.
Abeja 2-3 Mike, adelante.
Spoilers. Reverse the green.
Abeja 2-0 Mike, me confirma 2-3. Copiado, pues sobre 9
80 knots.
puede entrar en viento en cola derecha, pista 2-4 izquierda. Corrección, abeja 2-3 Mike, viento en cola derecha, 2-4 derecha.
Copiado, pues entrando ya visto con la derecha, 2-4 derecha.
Viking 231, vacating 1219 abate.
1219er Viking 231 bye.
Abeja 2-3 Mike, le tengo a la vista.
Ground Viking 231 vacating 6 left.
Vacated 231, muy buenas. Continue via link and then south, follow the Marshall Papa Gate. Your number 1 of Foster Gate.
Link South Papa Gate for 96 confirm.
96 is correct. And now contact 121.7, bye bye.
1217, bye bye.
Clear right.
Clear left.
After landing, when convenient.
Coming up. Ground Buenos Dias Viking 231 on the link.
Viking 231, buenos dias. Continue clear via the Papa Gate.
Papa Gate Viking 231. Up the lane, check is complete.
Thank you.
Viking 231, you're clear of traffic. Marshall at Papa, bye bye.
Bye bye.
Yeah, with the Marshall.
Check.
Is inside.
Yeah.
Hotel Sierra Papa, TGT, request taxi. Delta Charlie, Hotel Sierra Papa, buenos dias, South Taxiway.
Delta Sierra Papa, taxi to holding position
runway 06 right, and full report reaching South Taxiway, Delta Sierra Papa.
Du ved, hvad de har betalt for at få de der Air Berlin på alle
Hele
gates.
lufthavnen er malet.
Hele lufthavnen malet med dem.
320.
Check. Pulling down. Parking checklist.
Parking checklist complete.
Delta Sierra Papa will take Hotel 7 behind the Hapag Lodge 7.
We were supposed to be on block at 0805. Time is now 0805.
On time performance.
510 of this take Hotel 8, Hotel
Checked.
8, and by 11.3, bye bye. 510, Hotel 8.
What is it you're doing off your parking actually?
I complete the flight log. I fill in the landing and airborne time. I add up the flight time and the landings. And I write if I have any technical remarks, any defects, and if I don't, I have to state no items listed. It's called nil in the aviation language. No items listed. This is what I do. And then I fill in remaining fuel. Yo. And I check on our flight plan. That one. On our flight plan. I add fuel use from engine 1 and engine 2. I add them. This is 7760. 7760. I compare that to the planned fuel burn. We actually saved a little fuel on this flight. We planned to burn 7.9er, and we burned almost 7.8. So this is actually very nice planning. And then I put my block fuel, which is 3.2, and I add them up, and this is 10.9 or 10.9060. 10.9060. There we go. And I compare that to our uplifted fuel, and we uplifted 11.1. So it's not, there's a little error there, which is okay. Gives me an indication of the fuel quantity system is okay.
Hello.
Now I am loading the flight plan into the flight management system, and I start with the city pair, Lima Echo Papa Alpha to Echo Sierra Golf Golf, so Palma de Mallorca till Göteborg, and I load the flight number. I will load our alternate airport, which is Copenhagen. And I load in the cost index. We operations in Copenhagen decide which cost index we're supposed to use, and we use 18 for this flight. And I load in the initial cruising level, which is flight level 340. Then I proceed on to flight plan, and I push the lateral navigation line select key, and I have to choose now the departure, which is runway 06 right for departure. And we are flying a Gallat standard instrument departure. So I scroll down until I find maybe we are flying a Gallat 1 Bravo. I have to check that. The departure route, I will check that later. I insert that, and it becomes green. And I scroll the flight plan until I find Gallat. I push the lateral navigation line select key, and I push airways. And we're flying via Uniform November 861, and the next airway is Uniform Yankee 156, and so on. So we're flying this airway 873 until we reach Bacca VOR. So I manually insert Bacca VOR there, and I push insert, and the whole route of flight is now loaded into the FMS. And now I have to check it. I go to a little larger range, and I start out after Gallat, and I check the waypoints as I scroll through the flight plan. I check the waypoints and compare them to my paper flight plan. We are flying through France on our way home, and up over Paris and into Belgium, passing Brussels. And Amsterdam. And Esbjerg in the southwestern part of Denmark. And now we're up to Gothenburg. Already now I can load our arrival. If I estimate that we'll be landing on runway 21. So I load that already now. And we'll probably be flying the Baka 3 Foxtrot arrival to an ILS runway 21. I can always change that whenever I like, so I'm not totally sure we'll be landing on runway 21, but I expect that. Now I compare the distance from the flight management system to the distance on my paper flight plan. 1294 nautical miles. And this is a little shorter, 1267 nautical miles. But this paper flight plan don't account for this standard terminal arrival and the standard instrument departure. So it's acceptable that this one is about 20 nautical miles longer, and that's totally acceptable. So right now I've loaded my flight plan and checked it. Now I have to load the winds, also manually. I have that on my flight plan here. Winds are vertical navigation, not lateral, but vertical navigation, the right-hand line select keys. And for a climb winds, I can push this history wind, and the winds that we had during our descent will appear here. And I can compare them with the winds on my flight plan here, this is the climb winds. They are somewhat different, but I accept these winds. And now I go on to the next phase. This is the cruise wind. So I insert the cruise winds, and the more data I insert into the flight plan, the better the predictions. The FMS can do better predictions. I can insert winds at different levels, so the FMS can calculate my optimum flight level. I punch in winds at waypoints I expect to pass. So now I punched in the winds, and all the aircraft need now is some weight data before it will be able to do a flight time and fuel calculation. And I can, now I don't know the exact figures, but I can come up with an estimate. Now I punch this fuel planning, and the FMS does a fuel planning for me. Trip, fuel and time. It estimates that we'll be flying in 2 hours and 56 minutes. The flight plan estimates 2 hours and 51 minutes. This could be the standard instrument departure and the standard terminal arrival route that changes that a little. It estimates that we will burn off 7.5 tons in trip fuel. This one is a little more, 7.7. And our alternate fuel route reserves and the final reserves and so on. So we have decided to uplift 11.2. So I punch in 11.2 instead, and I revert to flight plan. And it will now fill in all the estimated time over the different waypoints and the total flight time. And the remaining fuel upon landing, estimated fuel on board upon landing. So it says 256 and this 251. This is also acceptable. I copy my flight plan, so I have a copy in a secondary flight plan. I make a copy the actual flight plan, and I now have 2 copies. If something goes wrong, I can change that. Now I just have to check my instrument departure, but I will do that later when I'm totally sure what departure we'll be flying. Snip, snap, snoot.
Viking 232, the wind is 12007 knots, clear for takeoff, 06 right.
Runway 06 right, cleared for takeoff, Viking 232.
Decimal 9, 61121 decimal 9.
21, Cash 961.
Flex SRS.
1085 Romeo, report from Monaco inside, sir.
718 inside and change frequency to 125, 123.5, zero.
Roger, sir, thank you, goodbye. Break, say 2011, clear to land 06 left. The wind is 09006 knots.
Clear land 06 left, Jersey 2011.
Get 879 Delta, you can line up and wait at 06 right.
Line up and wait, 06 right, jet set, 8 lined up.
Positive climb.
Yep. Autopilot.
Check.
Viking 232, 118 decimal 0, adios.
1180, Viking 232, goodbye.
Climb power set, Paxson.
Departure, good afternoon, Viking 232, 2400 climbing, 6000, Gallop Monroe.
Flap 0.
Speed check.
Viking 232, radar contact. Climb level 9 at the moment.
Continue climb, flight level 90, Viking 232.
90 blue.
Check.
Viking 232, climb level 140.
Climb flight level 140, Viking 232.
Full 4 standard.
Standard set.
Passing 66 now.
Checked.
After takeoff.
Landing gear.
Up.
Flaps.
0.
Packs.
On.
RF.
Standard set.
Standard set. Checklist completed.
Viking 232, call Palma radar, 1213, right?
1213 Viking 232. Adios. Radar, Buenos Dias Viking 232, 107, climbing 140 inbound, Pinto.
Viking 232, buenos días, radar contact, continue climb for level 180.
Climb flight level 180 Viking 232.
Ja, men det er godt. Så styr på det.
Det er perfekt. Det er lige skabet små.
Det er lige skuffet.
Sorry, I just said 879 Delta, radar contact, climb for level 200. Climb for level 200, just 879 Delta. Viking 232, continue climb for level 280.
Climb for flight level 280 Viking 232.
280 blue.
Reaching flight level 140, direct drag.
350, take higher.
Barcelona, Buenos Dias Viking 232, climbing flight level 280, approaching Galat.
Viking 232, buena radar contact, climb level 320, fly direct to Cabo.
Direct to Cabo, climb flight level 280 Viking 232.
Viking 232, climb level 320.
Continue climb level 320 Viking 232.
Right, to copy 320 blue.
Barcelona, just 306 Delta, can we climb flight level 360?
Oh. Mener der er det er kaptajn. Vi er på vej kan...
Viking 232, climb level 340, is to the final.
Mistænker, at det kan...
Climb flight level 340 and request level 360 Viking 232.
Vi stiger fortfarande,
Copy, call you back.
Forhåbentligvis så skal vi kunne stige op over det her, men nu her kan det blive lidt skårgang.
Blue.
340 blue, check.
Og jeg spurgte for 36.
Barcelona, Buenos Aires, Thompson 072 Echo, climbing flight level 280, patrolling out heading 340 degrees.
Thompson 072 Echo, buena on radar contact, climb flight level 320.
Climb flight level 320 and request a further 10 degrees to the right, Thompson 072 Echo.
072 Echo, copy, deviation approved.
Thank you, deviation approved, Thompson 072 Echo.
Det kan hurtigt blive værre, du. Speed, vertical speed. Smider de med kartsene.
Thompson 072 Echo, continue climb level 340.
Climb flight level 340, Thompson 072 Echo.
Check.
In 232, contact Bordeaux 132 9910. I'm on space, Kilo 4 for Victor. Do you have any turbulence report, any level ahead? 4 for Victor, we did have report. Light turbulence, basically 320, 40, 60. Roger, we... Viking, 328.
Fuld 4 røver. Er det Qantas? Der kommer en der. Den bliver bra, Janne.
Viking 232, contact København 126055, good morning.
26055 Viking 232. God eftermiddag.
Den er 1194 på T2 Marburg.
København Strof, god eftermiddag, Viking 232, level 370, direct Barca.
Viking 232 passing flight level 340, you can proceed in Barca again.
340, direct Barca, Viking 232.
Between 880 Quebec, you'll have a direct level, equation direct routing again shortly. We'll have an Airbus 320 at your 10 o'clock.
And I keep the speed target below the actual speed, so the engines are at idle, an old-fashioned way of descending. I can't get rid of it. It's like in a DC-10. Bara hade man trostleverne så her. Så det er som det ser ut en autotrost. Som I kan se, den hvite der, the white one is the actual position of the thrust lever. And but right now we have flight idle, so the idle setting is actually up there. This little white dot is the position of the thrust lever. And see, when I move the thrust lever, the white dot moves. But see, the actual power setting is actually up there because of flight idle. You won't get all the way down to idle. Now you have flight idle setting. If possible, I'd like a visual approach, but we'll see. Absolut. Det bestemmer.
Göteborg kontroll, Sigurd Erik Ludvig Gustav Ivar på väg från Eslöv till Säve, transponder 6761. Sigurd Gustav Ivar, radarkontakt Renault, Säve 1016.
10 minutes.
Tack för det, Gustav.
Det har du sagt. That's done.
Check.
Viking 232, descend 3000 feet, clear approach, runway 21, QNH 1017.
Send 3000 feet, QNH 1017, and we are clear minus for visual Viking 232.
Understand you have the field in sight?
Affirmative Viking 232.
Okay, I will call you back short for a visual approach.
Thank you, sir.
Push 1017, passing 6,600 feet. Now, approach checklist. Complete. Normal.
Please stand for 2 arena contact.
Set. On. 1017, MDA 710.
You're in sequence behind the Fokker 70, passing over the outer marker now at your 1 to 2 o'clock below.
Okay.
That's copied. We're looking out Viking 232.
Viking 232, you're cleared for right-hand visual approach, runway 21. The proceeding is inside.
Inside.
Yeah, we have traffic inside, cleared right-hand visual, runway 21, Viking 232.
Viking 232, maintain 3000 feet till final.
3000 to final, Viking 232.
Viking 232, you are short in number 1. Contact car 1186.
1186, Viking 232. Hey, do.
Ja.
Ciao, god eftermiddag, Viking 232, right-hand visual, runway 21.
After Viking 232, continue approach, wind is 140 and 6 knots.
Continue, Viking 232.
Let's see if we can go below 3,000. We're within the sector now, and we can go below 3,000.
Viking 232, we're within the sector, radial 339. May we go below 3,000 feet?
Not until on final.
Are we?
Ja. L green.
KLM 1153, Echo is approved.
Light vectors
Juliet
off.
17.
Echo Juliet 17, KLM 153.
Yeah. Bird. 205. Flap 1. vi on final now, eller?
Nej, ikke nu.
Now kan man gå below 3000. Now er man on final. Prøv at spørge ham, om vi er on final now. Prøv at spørge ham om det. Jamen.
Hvad er vi ikke det?
Ja, det synes jeg da.
Jo.
Følger glejsluppen af. Skide det på.
Viking 232, the wind is 130, 8 knots, runway 21, clear to land.
Runway 21, clear to land, Viking 232.
Radio altimeter alive. Gear down. Stay on 3000, please. Three.
Flap 3.
Full.
Check. Flap full.
Landing checklist.
Landing checklist. Cabin crew.
Good advice.
Auto thrust.
Speed mode.
Ground altitude.
3000 blue.
Og econ memo.
And then land 1 blue. Spool up coming shortly.
Yeah, 500 feet. Port.
Coming
500.
now.
Spool up. Clear to land.
300. 200. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. Retard. 10. 5.
Spoilers. Reverse wing.
After landing checklist.
Viking 232, taxi via Juliet, stand 19er.
Juliet, stand 19 Viking 232. God eftermiddag.
Thank you. Lights off, bleed on.
Palma 782, visually 2 shortly final.
Patron 782, continue approach, wind is 100 and 6 knots.
Thank you.
Aircraft, good afternoon, from flying 152 Echo for Juliet startup information Kilo at 68.
Patron not flying 152 Echo, start up approved, call you back shortly for your clearance. Fine. Flying 152 Echo, clearance is to Prague via Totla 1 Charlie departure, focus 782, wind is 100, 8 knots, runway 21, clear to land.
Vi är på väg till Mallorca.
Låga varandra.